How is everyone doing here on a fresh and beautiful episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk? I am your host, James Murphy, aka Murph, and thank you so much for joining me for episode number 135. Absolute blast and pleasure to be behind the mic yet again here on Monday. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend, whatever you were doing, trying to enjoy the beautiful weather, if you were able to experience a little bit of that, or the dreadful rain that we also experienced here in New England. But if you had sunshine, fantastic. If you had some snow, I'm sorry. If you had rain, I hope you stayed dried. But we have a bunch of stuff to talk about today. I want to kind of talk about the Red Sox just a little bit. I also want to talk about the Celtics clinching the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. And of course, I kind of want to touch upon a couple of draft notes from my mock draft 1.0. But before we do any of that, I must say thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying this episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I am greatly appreciative of every single one of you downloading, listening, and enjoying. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're listening to this episode on YouTube, thank you so much for clicking on the video. And if you do enjoy today's episode, I really hope that you can like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as well as I am on my quest to 250 subscribers. In the grand scheme of things, it's a small milestone, but to me, it's a very big milestone. So I can't wait to hopefully accomplish that feat very soon. Before we do talk about our main topics today, I do kind of want to touch upon the unfortunate news that happened yesterday morning, and that was the passing of Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't want to talk too much about it because, I'm very high energy. I like to talk, nothing about bad things. I always like to stay good and just keep talking about the good here on this podcast. But when a major news headline pops up, regardless of its emotional presence, I do like to talk about it and just touch upon it because it's news and it could happen to any of us, unfortunately. And Dwayne Haskins did pass away yesterday morning. Some people did hear the news about it. He passed away, I think I heard on the radio they were saying like 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, as he got hit by a dump truck as he was trying to cross the highway down in Florida. I'm going to keep my comments to myself about his actions because this is not the time or the place to express those comments right now. But all I want to do is just send my condolences to the Haskins family, all his loved ones, family and friends. It's such a terrible instance in one's life to have to, wake up Sunday morning and find out that your loved one, your family, your friend, or whoever passed away. And like I said, it could happen to any of us. So definitely make sure next time you see your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your best friend, your aunt, your uncle, whoever it may be, grandparents, cousins, just let them know how you feel about them. Let them know that you love them, because any given second, something crazy and unfortunate and terrible could happen. And I would absolutely hate to just see it happen again and again and again. And it's going to. Unfortunately, life happens. And this isn't the first and it won't be the last. But just make sure, when you can, send love and send gratitude to family and friends. Because you just never know what kind of news you might wake up with, or what kind of terrible headlines you might see on the internet, on TV, on the computer, wherever, on your phone. But it's a sad day yesterday, and it's totally unfortunate. All the details have not been expressed or released yet on what Haskins was doing on the highway at that early in the morning, why he was crossing. It's just, there's so much unknown still. And when it does come out, hopefully we can get some clarification and a little bit of, clarity on the whole situation of what he was doing, why he was doing it. But regardless, it is a very sad day. And again, I do want to express and extend my condolences to the Haskins family, everyone that loved and cared for Dwayne. Obviously, he was a fantastic standout at Ohio State. drafted in the first round by the Washington Redskins at the time, now Commanders. And then he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers most recently. Could he have gotten another shot at a starting role this season? Absolutely. Could he have beaten out Mitch Trubisky or whoever the Steelers may bring in or have on their roster? Absolutely. He has a ton of talent, and it's going to be a damn shame that we're not going to be able to see that talent mature, develop, and grow post his Washington days and into moving on into 2022. So a life cut short. It's a young life that was cut too short. He was going to be 25, I believe, on May 3rd, something like that, 24, 25. So, I mean, the dude's younger than me. And unfortunately, he passes away. But I don't want to spend too much time on this very sensitive, sad topic. I just do want to give my respects and express my condolences. But let's, pivot and talk about the Red Sox, and it'll give me a couple minutes to kind of, reshift my energy. You guys know I'm a high energy kind of guy, and there are times where I'll start with, a story like this or something very upsetting and sad and depressing. So it'll just give me some time to adjust myself to really bring that energy back. But Red Sox lost 2 of 3 to the Yankees over opening day weekend. They were able to salvage Sunday's game against the Yankees in the Bronx after losing the first 2 games. It's still early in the season. There's really nothing that we can do right now in terms of reacting. I mean, we can't overreact to it because, it's game, 1, 2, and 3? So, is there takeaways? For sure. There's absolutely takeaways from opening day weekend. And I just don't think we can bury this team just yet. Every team is still trying to figure itself out. Yankees were able to win 2 of 3, but they're still figuring themselves out. And the Red Sox are as well. And a positive takeaway that I have from this weekend is that they were able to hit the ball. They were able to put the ball in play. They were able to get hits, score runs, hit a couple dingers. Offense, the lineup looked really good. Trevor Story wasn't a part of the win yesterday, but you know what? That just shows how deep the lineup is in terms of its offensive power and if it's in its offensive capabilities. Now, obviously, Trevor Story is going to turn things around. Every player is going to turn things around, hopefully. And some players that start hot are going to cool down, and the slow start players are going to get hot. It just happens. Happens in baseball, happens every year for every team, every player, and in every sport. But the thing I really want to touch upon that I'm a little weary on and something I'm very hesitant about is the Red Sox pitching staff. I just don't think they have what it takes. And again, I don't want to sit here and just, rail the Red Sox pitching staff for this weekend. Again, it's 3 games. Let me pull up the Red Sox schedule. They have a tough schedule to start the season. Red Sox schedule. Why can't I type Red Sox schedule? Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Let's see what we got here. What we got? Okay, we got the Tigers today at 5:10. We got 3 with the Tigers in Detroit, and then we come home for opening day at Fenway Park on the 15th. That's a Friday against the Minnesota Twins. Then you get the Blue Jays, you got the Rays, you got the Jays again, you get the Orioles. So you're going to be facing good competition early in the season. I can guarantee that. You will be facing good competition early in the season. But the thing with the Red Sox pitching staff is I just don't think they can handle it. Having Chris Sale out is one thing. You bring in James Paxton, he's out. That's a completely different thing because your staff isn't so reliant on James Paxton. However, your pitching staff is reliant on Chris Sale. It just kind of helps everything fall into place. It allows Pivetta to be the 3. It allows Houck to be the 4. And then you can have whoever be the 5, whether it's Paxton or Rich Hill. Or if you want to give Cutter Crawford some starts, that can be your 5th starter. That makes more sense, and I actually don't mind that rotation. But the bullpen, though, is absolutely struggling. And yeah, it was 4 runs on Saturday, okay. 3 runs against the Yankees yesterday, okay. But that opening day game against the Yankees, once Nathan Eovaldi came out of the game, was absolutely dreadful. I'm just trying to scroll down to the pitching. Pivetta gave up all the runs on Saturday. Austin Davis got it out. Sawamura and Valdez pitched 2 scoreless innings together, so there's progress there. But again, I'm going to be saying this for a while. It's 1 game. Then you look at the game on last night. Houck gave up all 3 runs. Then you got Brazier, Crawford, Stram, Robles, and Dykman all pitching shutout baseball. But do you guys feel confident with that? I mean, yes, it's fantastic that they were able to throw some shutout baseball against the Yankees, who are projected to do fairly well this year and who are projected to have a good lineup in and of themselves. But I mean, do we feel confident with our bullpen after this weekend's performance? I mean, Sunday was very nice. I'll admit, Sunday was a very nice performance by Brazier, Crawford, Strahm, Robles, and Dykman. I'll admit it was a nice showing. But do you feel confident with that Red Sox bullpen moving forward, or the Red Sox rotation in general moving forward? Eovaldi was able to pitch 5 innings. Okay, I'll take that, I guess. I mean, that's kind of what we're used to these days. Nick Pivetta, 5 2/3. Almost got through 6 innings. I can live with that. Tanner Houck, 3 1/3 innings. I can't live with that. That's terrible. And again, I'm not trying to overreact, as it's only games 1, 2, and 3. Come the end of April, early May, when we have a little bit bigger of a sample size and we can kind of start seeing where things are going to fall into place, then we can kind of have a little overreaction, or we can react necessarily to what has unfolded. But exiting thoughts of opening day weekend for the Red Sox. I mean, they lost the 2 games by a run and then 2 runs on Saturday. And it's against the Yankees, opening day. I mean, every team's going to go through it. Every single team's going to go through it. I mean, people have high expectations for the Twins that they started 1-2. I mean, people have high expectations for the Rangers and the Angels. They're 1-2 and 1-3 respectively. I mean, let's see. People expect the Marlins to suck, the Nationals to suck. The Brewers, they're 1-2 to start the season. Dodgers, they're 1-2 to start the season, and the Rockies are 2-1. So I mean, it's going to be all over the place for a little bit. And like I said, I don't want to overreact early. I'm just giving you some exiting thoughts from opening day weekend for the Red Sox. Once we get to 40, 60 games into the season, once we get to around 25%, maybe a little bit more, then we can kind of really dive into what this team is looking like. All right, the bullpen does really suck. Okay, we actually do need Chris Sale, or we need to go out and get us a pitcher of some sort, starter or reliever. I mean, the closer, that's going to be a question mark still as we proceed through the rest of the early stages of the season into that about 40 to 60 game mark that I've stamped. Jake Dykman looked pretty good last night as closing that game out. Is he going to be the Red Sox closer moving forward? Who knows? I know Alex Cora said he's not going to name a closer. There's still Whitlock that's available. Matt Barnes, Hansel Robles. Could you see Ryan Brazier do some closing? I don't know. But Jake Dykman did look good closing out on Sunday night. He did look terrible Friday against the Yankees. But hey, it's games 1, 2, and 3. So I like where the Red Sox are at right now. It could have been a million times worse, but it could also have been a little bit better. Just to recap, we got 3 against the Tigers in Detroit, and then Friday is opening day against the Twins. That game kicks off at 2:10 in the afternoon. Very, very exciting to see the Red Sox back at Fenway Park, and I cannot wait for that game or that series, because Monday at 11:10, April 18th, is when the Red Sox play on Marathon Monday. Always a glorious and joyous day to have baseball in the early morning. absolutely will take it any day of the week, but I'm just kind of figuratively speaking. All right, let's move on here to the Celtics, as the Celtics were able to clinch the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. That is crazy. Good for them. The Celtics finished the season 51-31 as they finished the season on a 7-3 run in their last 10 games, as they were able to clinch the 2 seed. This thing says the 3 seed. Let's see, NBA playoff bracket 2022, 10 hours ago. All right, let's see. Yes, Boston as the 2 seed. Just wanted to double check. Miami already clinched up the 1 seed as they finished 2 games better than the Celtics due to records and tiebreakers and such. The Bucks and the 76ers, who finished with the same record as the Celtics, finished as the 3 and the 4 seed respectively. The 76ers and the Raptors will be facing off against each other in the first round as the 4-5 matchup. The Bucks will be taking on the Chicago Bulls as the 3-6 matchup. And then in the play-in tournament, you have the Atlanta Hawks as the 9 and the Charlotte Hornets as the 10. And then on the other side of the play-in tournament, you have the Brooklyn Nets as the 7 and the Cleveland Cavaliers as the 8. The loser of the 7-8 game will play again in the play-in tournament, as the winner of that 7-8 game will go on to face the Celtics. Then you have the winner of the 9-10 playing against the loser of the 7-8, and the winner of that game will go on to play against the Miami Heat. The loser of the 9-10 game will be eliminated. So we saw this first last year, I believe it was. I don't know, did we see it in the bubble? I think we did see it for the first time in the bubble, but it wasn't like anything official, I don't think. But we did see it last year because the Celtics played in that game last year, and they won. I think they played against the Wizards. They won. Then they got whooped by the Nets in the first round. So, again, Miami is the 1, and they will get the winner of the 9-10 and the winner of the 7-8 game, which is that second play-in game. Celtics will get the winner of the 7-8 game just straight up. The loser of the 9-10 will get eliminated. The loser of the 7-8 will move on to the second play-in game, where the winner of the 9-10 and the loser of the 7-8 will go on. That winner will play the Miami Heat. I know it's very, very confusing. Let's just jump over to the West real quick, and then we'll circle back and talk about the Celtics. Phoenix Suns, the best team in the NBA by far, finishing 64-18. A phenomenal season in their own right. They are the 1 seed, and they will host the 8 seed, whoever that may be. I'll get to that in a few moments. Dallas Mavericks finished with the 4 seed, and they'll be facing off against the Utah Jazz as the 5 seed. Golden State Warriors and the Denver Nuggets will be the 3-6 matchup, with the Warriors as the 3 and the Nuggets as the 6. Memphis Grizzlies having a fantastic season in their own right, playing absolute great basketball the entirety of the season. They are the 2 seed, and they'll get the winner of the 7-8 matchup, which is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Clippers. The loser of that game will go on to the second play-in game, where they will play against the winner of the 9-10 matchup between the New Orleans Pelicans and the San Antonio Spurs. The winner of that second round of the play-in game will go on to face against the Phoenix Suns in the official first round of the playoffs. That is everything. That is the current setup for the NBA I almost said tournament. NBA playoffs for 2022. Let's talk Celtics here. Like I said, they finished 7-3 in their last 10 games, and they turned it around. They completely turned their season around in miraculous fashion, finishing 51-31. I saw a stat somewhere. Oh, I forget where it was. I think it was since the All-Star break. Or at the All-Star break, the Celtics and the Lakers had roughly the same exact record. I think maybe like a game off. Since the All-Star break, the Celtics finished 16-5, something like that, I believe. And the Lakers finished it was like 5-8, 16, something like that. It was like literally almost vice versa, swapped. And as you could see, the Celtics played well. They were able to earn the 2 seed as the Lakers fell all the way down to the 11th seed as they don't even get to sniff the play-in tournament. They finished 2-8 in their last 10 games, and if they were able to go, say, 5-5, they would probably be they would be the 9 seed, as the Spurs would have got kicked out, and the Lakers would be hosting the Pelicans in that 9-10 game. The West, very, very competitive this year. I mean, the Suns finished 8 games above the Grizzlies. Then you got the this is supposed to be about the Celtics. This is supposed to be about the Celtics, excuse me. But the East was also competitive in its own right. It's just there's so much more talent and so much more firepower in the West than there is in the East. But the East was very competitive. You have the Heat, the Bucks, the Celtics, the 76ers, Raptors, Bulls, all guaranteed in the playoffs. Now, yes, you could still face the Nets in that first round. Is that worst case scenario? Would you rather play the Cavs? Me personally, I'd rather play the Cavs. They're streaky right now. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games, where the Nets are 6-4 in their last 10 games. Kyrie Irving will be playing home games for the Brooklyn Nets, and I believe he has been playing home games now. Correct me if I'm mistaken. Cavaliers are a young, good team. They have a lot of young superstar level talent on that team. But I just think they're a year too early. Earlier in the season, they were flirting around the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds. Then they did fall down a little bit. But you know what? That happens. Look at the Celtics. They shot up. Next year, I think the Cavaliers will be a little bit better once you bring in some veterans and kind of you work off of last year, being this year now. I would like to see the Cavaliers, if I'm being completely honest. A 7-game series with the Nets, we saw it last year. Granted, they don't have James Harden anymore. Ben Simmons isn't playing in the play-in game, but we'll see if he gets available to play in the first round of the playoffs if they do advance. But as the Celtics, though, I'm confident in whoever they face, whether it's the Nets or the Cavaliers. I am confident. They've been playing well. And I really do like their chances. Yes, they don't have Time Lord, and they could absolutely use him. But you know what? We can't worry about that. We can't look at the what ifs or the only ifs, whatever it may be. You will get matched up with the winner of that 7-8 game, whoever it is, whether it is the Nets, whether it is the Cavaliers. You must prepare accordingly. The Nets have Durant. They have Harden. They have Durant. They have Irving. But you, the Celtics, you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown playing out of their mind. Marcus Smart, arguably the defensive player of the year, playing out of his mind. Al Horford looks like he's 10 years younger. The team is cohesive. Their defensive presence is remarkable. And they can score. They could shoot the lights out of the ball. And they're playing team basketball, for the past 3.5 months now at the right time. It has stayed consistent. It hasn't faltered. It hasn't fizzled. And if it does in the playoffs, that's the wrong time to do that. That is the absolute wrong time to fizzle and sizzle out. I don't think they will. Like I just talked about the Red Sox in baseball. Early in the season, teams will start off hot and they'll sizzle out. Teams will start off cold and they'll heat up. In basketball and hockey, I like to look at 25 games, 20 to 25 games, to kind of see where things are going to fall into place. I let the Celtics finish their road trip, which put them at 27 total games in the season. And I was like, I'm done talking about them. This was in season 1. Done talking about them. Because they were underperforming and they weren't playing good basketball at all. I stopped talking about them and then I quickly recapped them before, the end of season 1 as they were heating up. But I didn't want to buy into it. I didn't want to buy into the moment because I've seen it too many times. They rip off great stretches. They make you buy in and then they, break your heart. But is this year different for the Celtics? Is 2022 different for the Celtics? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they have a shot at the NBA Finals, but they do. But I'm not going to say that the favorite or it's championship or bust for this team, which it kind of is. But when you have the Heat, when you have the Bucks, 76ers playing well, The Suns playing tremendous. The Grizzlies, the Warriors. I mean, there's tons of good teams out there that will be in your way. I will say that getting to the conference finals probably is a must. I mean, again, Boston, New England, we have championship aspirations. We do. We expect nothing but the best, whether it's for the Celtics, the Red Sox, Bruins, and the Patriots. All four of those teams have won our hearts over and given us joy. All four of those teams have broken our hearts and put us into depression. This Celtics team was giving us that depression early in the season, but they have won us over. And they have been doing it consistently. That's the thing. It's not like they went, on a 10-game winning streak or they won 12 out of 15. No. They started from New Year, and it's now April 11th. Almost three and a half months into the season, or I don't know, from that point. 3.5 months from that point. And they're still playing this kind of basketball. I mean, they just beat the Grizzlies last night. A very good win, a very big win. I mean, I don't have the stats for it. I don't really care for it. Okay, well, let's just look. They beat them by 29 points. Okay, but the Grizzlies weren't playing anybody. Okay, no Desmond Bane, no Steven Adams, no, what's his name? John Morant. Why did I hesitate on that? But the Celtics threw out there Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. They threw everything they had at him. And I think that was a good tune-up game for the Celtics. I really do. I want the Celtics to succeed. I want them to win. Is it realistic? Yes. But I'm not going to sit here and say they're absolutely going to do it. Like, if we were a Phoenix Suns podcast, all right, we're 64-18, 8 games above the Grizzlies, who are the second best team. We're 6-4 in our last 10. We did not lose double-digit games at home or on the road, finishing 32-9, both home and away. This is our year. We made it to the finals last year. We lost to the Bucks. Good team. We're back. We're ready. We're healthy. We got the same team. We got better. This is our year. We expect to win. That's what people in Phoenix are saying, in Arizona are saying about the Suns. That's not the Celtics team. People in Phoenix expect to win this year. People here in Boston, we expect to win every year, yes. But this year, progress. Let's get to the Eastern Conference Finals, see who we're matched up against, and go from there. I would love to dive into the Celtics and their first-round matchup more today. I just don't know who they're playing. If they were in the 4, if they were in the 3, the 4, 5, 6, then we can talk about it. Even if they were in the play-in tournament, we can talk about that matchup. However, that's not as fun as, hey, we don't know who we're going to play with. So on Friday, then we can talk about that matchup because we'll know who we're playing, whether it is the Nets or whether it is the Cavaliers. And it's going to be very exciting. It will absolutely be exciting when we find out who we're going to be playing up against when we reconvene for Friday's episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. That will be episode 136. If you made it to this point in the episode, I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and enjoying, as I greatly appreciate the love and support. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please make sure you like the video, comment any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns down below in the comment section, and please subscribe to the channel, as I would greatly appreciate that, as I'm on my way to 250 subscribers. I am oh so close, I can almost taste it. If you want to reach out to me via social media, you can absolutely do that at Murph's Cartown. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook as well. Again, that's at Murph's Cartown. I would absolutely love to have a conversation with you on social media as well. So my last topic today's episode is I want to circle back to my 2022 NFL Mock Draft 1.0. I do have some follow-up thoughts that I do want to talk about from this mock draft that I released. And again, 2.0 will be releasing sometime this week. I'm not exactly sure when, and I'm very excited to get on that. And I've already made a few adjustments, but let's talk about 1.0 real quick. And I do want to talk about a few things. The Jets, they have 4-10. I talked about this last episode. They have 4-10. They have a lot of options. They could obviously take 4, move back, grab some more assets and more capital. They could take 10 and some other things and try to move up. What makes the most sense for them there at 10? You already got the quarterback. You already got a running back. You got two solid receivers, excuse me. And your defense could use a lot of work. And I have them taking Sauce Gardner at 4, and I have them taking Drake London at 10. I think Drake London would be really good to throw alongside Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios to give Zach Wilson a fleet of receivers to throw to. I really do like that. But is that realistic when you already have 2 good receivers in Berrios and Elijah Moore? So does it make sense to extend yourself at 10 when the wide receivers are so deep and you could probably get one in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round even? So, I mean, there's some question marks there for me at 10 with the Jets. And then number 4 with Sauce Gardner, he's sliding down some big boards, and he's probably going to slide down mine when I release 2.0. He is the best cornerback in this draft, but do the Jets want to take a corner at 4, though? When you can take a D lineman, an edge rusher, if Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame is there at 4, do you take him if the top 3 teams pass on him? I mean, obviously you have Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU that you could also take at 4. No need for a quarterback. No need for an offensive tackle, I don't think. But always having, you have Mekhi Becton on the left side. You can draft Ekonwu if he's there, or Evan Neal if he's there at 4. You can have them play right tackle. Evan Neal has some experience at guard. You can have him play left or right guard there as well. So the Jets do have some options and some possibilities, which as a Patriots fan, with the division as tough as it is something you need to keep your eye on, because the Patriots only have pick 21. Okay, the Jets have 2 picks in the top 10. They're going to be able to move up and down the draft board if they want to. They're going to be able to make some moves if they want to, and they're going to draft 2 very good prospects coming out of this draft. So they already have their their second-year quarterback now. They already have a couple good receivers, a good running back. The moves that they make could really help vault the Jets into, I don't want to say a legitimate contender, but someone that you can't just chalk up two wins against anymore, especially if we do see progression from Zach Wilson, which people in New York are expecting, and I'm probably expecting myself. So the Jets' selections at 4 and 10 is something to keep note about. The Carolina Panthers at 6. I have them taking Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty. But again, I don't think a quarterback should be taken in the top 10 or in the top 15. I kind of said, in the teens at the earliest. In a perfect world, I don't think any of these quarterbacks should be taken in the first round. Just my humble opinion. I don't think the Panthers will reach and take a quarterback at 6. I don't know. Could they be desperate enough and they do it? Sure. Would be the better play to, I don't know, move back with the Commanders or the Vikings, get a few more assets. I talked about this before, and then take your quarterback of choice? Yes. But he's not guaranteed to be there when the Falcons come up, when the Seahawks come up, or hell, even the Commanders when they come up. They might take a quarterback. Now, if you like Malik Willis and you like Kenny Pickett and you're kind of torn between the two, then taking the chance to move back might be the better play here. Because then, if one's taken, all right, it was meant to be, we'll take the other one. You can kind of convince yourselves of a little superstition that way. I mean, you still have Sam Darnold. I think he could still be a serviceable quarterback to some degree, maybe not long term, but short term at least. Would you be better off waiting to next year's draft? Possibly. I mean, you still have a good team or a good foundation of a team. I think the overall smart thing to do for the team, sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up, is to move back, I think. I don't think you're going to be able to solve all your problems at 6. Because if you don't take a quarterback, what are you going to do? Are you going to take a wide receiver there? Are you going to take a defensive lineman there or an edge rusher? I mean, you seem pretty solid at those positions. Now, obviously, there's no problem with bolstering and, retooling at any position, really. I mean, could you take a cornerback? You drafted J.C. Horn in the first round last year. You can still bring back Stephon Gilmore. So I just don't see them taking a cornerback either. Could they go offensive line if there's still one available, like a Evan Neal? Sure. I think taking like a Tyler Lindbaum too early would be foolish. So there's some options and some things there that the Panthers are going to have to try to figure out. And could they trade up? I mean, I don't think they will, but obviously you could package 6 and some other things and move up to 3? What is that going to get you? Sauce Gardner, Kyle Hamilton? I mean, Sauce Gardner might be there at 6. Evan Neal might be there at 6. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson won't be. Ike Ukonu probably won't be. So the Panthers are in a little bit of a tricky spot there. That's something I also want to talk about as well. Let's see, where else? I mean, the middle of the draft is controlled by the Eagles and by the Saints, where the Eagles have 15 and 18 and the Saints have 16 and 19. In my mock draft 1.0 that I released on social media, I do have 15 and 16 mixed up between the Eagles and the Saints. I do want to reiterate that should not be like that. My mock draft does not change, though, as I still have the Eagles taking Trent McDuffie at 15 and the Saints taking Trevor Penning at 16. Just the mistake there, having that vice versa, does not change anything at all for those two teams and in the grand scheme of things. So I just want to be clear in case you are following online with my mock draft in front of you, if you're listening on audio only platforms and you're looking at like my Instagram or Facebook. So I just want to be clear about that. But again, the middle of the draft right there, or just about the middle of the draft, is controlled by those two teams. The Eagles could package up 15 and 18 and move up. The Saints could package 16 and 19, move up. A team in the 20s or in the 30s could try to find a package to move up to 18 or 19 with, that second pick of the Eagles and the Saints respectively. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. And you got the Chargers kind of jammed in the middle right there. I mean, the things are going to be moving all around them, and they already have been, and they're going to be like, oh, what do we do? And they're just going to be kind of stuck in the middle of it. So I do expect a lot of maneuvering on the draft board from not just those two teams, but just teams in general. Again, the Texans have 2 picks in the top 13 at 3 and 13. The Jets have 2 in the top 10 at 4 and 10. The Giants, 2 in the top 10, 5 and 7. Then you got the Eagles at 15 and 18. The Saints at 16 and 19. Then later in the draft, you got the Packers at 22 and 28. You also have the Chiefs at 29 and 30. A lot of maneuvering. And then if you want to even count the Lions, they got 2 and they got 32. I don't see them moving up or anything, but could they package 32 and the second pick of the second round and get, I don't know, to where Dallas is or where Buffalo is? I mean, maybe. I mean, that actually wouldn't be a bad move for Buffalo, if I'm being honest. I have them taking Breece Hall at 25. I don't see another team anywhere in the 20s or even the 30s needing a running back. So as I'm expressing this to you right now, I literally am convincing myself that this is a genius idea for the Bills, because Breece Hall will not be there by their 25th pick in the second round. So if the Lions approach them with 32 and 2 to swap for 25, I would do that, because you'll get the second pick in the second round and you'll get 32, where you'll be able to take Breece Hall there. Meanwhile, you're going to get an extra pick 2 picks later, just on day 2. I mean, are there other needs for the Buffalo Bills at 25? Sure. I mean, some people are saying wide receiver. I think that's kind of a stretch. Could you always shore up the defensive line? Yes, but you just brought in Von Miller. Obviously, quarterback's off the board. I don't think they need a linebacker. I haven't checked their offensive line. Could they take an offensive lineman, whether it's a Zion Johnson, the guard center? Could they take a Tyler Smith, who's an offensive tackle guard? I mean, I don't see it happening, but, Bernard Raymond, actually, I mean, I do see that happening. Bernard Raymond falling down in the draft, falling to 25 if they want to take another tackle. Trevor Penning won't fall. He'll be taken in that middle round between the Saints and the Chargers. I guarantee it. So there's a lot of maneuverability for a bunch of teams, and, like I said, I think that's a really smart move for the Bills to kind of fall down the draft a little bit, grab another pick. I mean, would that be smart for the Lions? It depends on who's there at 25 that they want. I mean, they're not going to be taking a Breece Hall. But do they want a Traylon Burks? Do they want a George Karlaftis? Do they want Zion Johnson themselves? Tyler Smith if he's there? Jermaine Johnson's there? Would that be a bad pick? Absolutely not. But then you are giving up 32 and you're giving up 2. So you're not going to be able to take Matt Corral, who I have in my mock draft at 32, them taking. And I think taking a quarterback at that 32nd pick is going to be really beneficial for them long term because Jared Goff isn't the starter long term. We all know that. Matt Corral, who's coming back from injury, can sit out a little bit. You ride with Jared Goff, and then next year in 2023, hopefully you'll have your quarterback. We last saw the Baltimore Ravens do this at 32 by taking Lamar Jackson. He was sitting behind Joe Flacco. Then Lamar Jackson took over for Joe Flacco, and, the rest is now history for Lamar Jackson. Not going to say that Matt Corral is going to turn into Lamar Jackson, but, the storyline could repeat itself potentially. So those are just some follow-up thoughts that I have on my mock draft 1.0. I would like to think 2.0 will be out for Friday's episode. Don't quote me on that, but it could be. And that could be a topic that we find ourselves discussing about on Friday's episode 136. However, that is going to wrap up today's episode number 135 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. And I really want to thank you audio-only listeners for downloading, listening, and joining, as I greatly appreciate the love and support. If you're listening to this episode on YouTube, thank you so much for clicking on the video. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new or have not considered subscribing, as I would greatly appreciate the love and support. If you have anything you want to talk about or follow up on regard to today's topics, please reach out to me at Murph's Cardtown if you're listening on audio-only platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, you name it. That is where you can find Murph's Boston Sports Talk. And if you're listening on YouTube, leave those down in the comment section below, as I'd love to read and have a conversation with you over there. But again, that is going to do it. Enjoy the week. We're supposed to have some interesting weather today and over the course of the week. It's supposed to get up to 62 today, and then it's going to be 69, 70 tomorrow here in the Johnston, Rhode Island area. 50% rain, but then 72, no rain on Thursday. Warm weather's on the horizon, but next week it's going to be in the 50s again with rain. So it's all over the place right now. It's spring. It's New England. What do you expect? Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy everything you're doing. And again, make sure you let your loved ones, friends, and families know how you truly feel about them and giving them love and expressing that to them, because you just never know what could happen in life. Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. And again, I send my condolences to the Haskins family. But again, that is going to wrap it up. I will catch you in the next one. But between now and then, you guys know that I love you, and I will always see you.